Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Planning Committee of Tuesday, the 10th of February. I'm Councillor Amanda Burrell. I'm the chair of this committee. I've got a few introductions, but I know we're very busy tonight and there are people downstairs, so I ask everybody to be very patient, and we hope to get people upstairs as we get through the applications if they're missing their application. So if we could all be very patient and polite to everybody, that would be really, really appreciated by the people around the table here. So just a few introductions. The meeting will be recorded and live streamed by HDC. Members and public speakers must use the desk microphones, otherwise the recording will not work. Only 2 microphones in addition to the chairman's can be on at the same time. Mobile phones, members and the public should switch off their phones, please. Fire exits. The fire exits are there, and the meeting point is at the top end of Mill Hill Car Park. We aren't expecting a fire alarm, so if there is one, please use the fire exits. Leaving during the meeting, people may come and go normally during the meeting. Now, the council is aware that planning applications may be controversial and emotive for those affected by the decisions made by this committee. However, everyone present is reminded that the council will not tolerate abusive or aggressive behaviour towards staff or other visitors attending this meeting, and anyone behaving inappropriately will be required to leave the meeting and the building. We'll get on with the agenda now. Apologies for absence. I've had apologies from Councillor Gare, Councillor Sarfast and Councillor Moder, and Councillor Moder is being substituted by Councillor Mrs Page. And I'll ask everyone else to introduce themselves now, starting with Councillor Graves, please.
Yes, Councillor Graves for Broughton Astley, South and Lear.
Councillor Peter James for Little Bowden Ward in Market Harborough and Vice Chair of Planning.
Josh Worrell, Broughton Astley, South and Lear.
Sarah Hamilton, Democratic Services Officer.
E. Thompson, Legal Services. Adrian Eastwood, Head of Development Management.
Nicola Parry, Development Management Team Leader.
Mark Patterson, Strategic Growth Manager.
Good evening, David Atkinson, Director of Planning.
Councillor Neil Bannister, I represent the Dunton Ward.
Peter Elliott, Thurmby and Houghton Ward.
And Peter Scott, represent Glen Ward.
Simon Wellban, Kibworths.
Zita Page and it's all.
Thank you, everyone. Right, number 2 on the agenda is declarations of members' interests. Have we got any declarations, Councillor Mrs Page?
Thank you. 25/01339 FUL by virtue of me being the ward councillor, not second.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
I will make the same declaration with the Shankton application. Thank you.
Will you be staying in and you're fettered?
I'm not fettered, no. So yes, I will be
Fine.
staying. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, thank you. Now I've got the 3 and 4 are in the minutes of the Planning Committee on the 2nd of December and the adjourned meeting on the 10th of December. I'll take them both at once. Can I ask if it's a true and correct record of what happened? And could I have a proposal, please, Councillor Bannister?
So propose that we accept both those dates.
Have I got a seconder? Councillor Elliott?
Happy to second.
All those in favour of accepting the minutes? Thank you, everyone. Those minutes are accepted. Number 5, referral up to council by the Planning Committee to consider any referrals under Part 3, Section B 1.4 of the Council's Constitution. There are none tonight. Now we've had a proposal to change the running order of the agenda, so I will propose changing the order of the agenda to bring the one that's at number 2, which is Claybrook Parva, up to number 1. Can I have a seconder for that, please? Councillor Mrs Page. Everyone in favour of changing the running order of the first 2? Okay, thank you very much. So that means on to the applications. So our first application is land on the east of Watling Street, Claybrook, Parva, 25/01/339/FUL, change of use of land to 9 travellers' pitches, including associated access and works. Page 29 of your papers, and the presenting officer is Adrian Eastwood. Thank you, Adrian.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I'll just mention first, there's some additional information on the supplementary paper, and I'll just explain for the benefit of visitors tonight who aren't here regularly. Obviously, we produced something called a supplementary paper. So there's items, since we published the agenda, we get information, and there's probably on every item we've got tonight, there's 1 or 2 bits of additional information. So, for example, on this item, there's a couple of references to further objections on the supplementary paper. Okay. So this site, you can just check if the overhead's showing for you, the mouse. Okay, so this just highlighting the site, and it's described in your paperwork as effectively an open field. It's enclosed by hedgerows, and you can make that out on the overheads as we go through, actually. The site is about 1 kilometre to the southwest of Claybrook, Parva, along Woodway Lane. Claybrook, Parva itself includes, I think, the primary schools is this location around here. The closest settlement actually is Wibtoft, just off to the northwest here. Wibtoft is actually in Warwickshire, and obviously it's across the opposite side of the Trent Road, the A5. You'll see there's representations from both Wibtoft Parish and Claybrook Parish within the committee report. So the use that we're deciding tonight is for 9 travellers' pitches. The use began around September 2025, and since that time, the occupancy, the number of caravans has varied on the site. That was what you'd expect with the nature of the use, but there have been up to 21 caravans on the site have been observed. And you'll be familiar, people are familiar with the background here, and there has been a court order that does effectively allow at this moment in time for up to 21 caravans on the site. So the site is relatively inaccessible to the surrounding villages, other than effectively to Claybrook Parva by Woodway Lane. Really only accessible realistically by private motor vehicle to these nearby settlements. Access to Wibtoft, as I said, for example, is effectively across the A5. As I said, Claybrook Parva is, I've measured it as about 1 kilometre away from the edge of the village, and I've driven down Woodway Lane. I've characterised it as being very much a rural highway, unlit, no footway that I observed, and I should assume it's subject to the national speed limit for the whole until you get into the Claybrook Parva itself. So that that route, for example, on Woodway Lane, year round, it wouldn't really be conducive, for example, to walking or cycling realistically, and hence to the nearby facilities such as the school, there would be a reliance on their private motor vehicle. So that inaccessibility represents the first recommended reason for refusal in effect on the planning committee report papers. There are also outstanding concerns with the proposal. I just go through some photos of the site in relation to the access arrangements. There's 2 access actually in place. The top one is principal access. The bottom one on the photo is the second access that's been put in. You'll see in the paperwork that the highway authority haven't been satisfied, and therefore neither the planning authority, that those accesses are to an appropriate, demonstrated to an appropriate standard. I'm just carrying on through the photographs. This is the layout plan that's come with the application, layout of 9 pitches on the site. The photograph on the top here is effectively looking out towards the access onto Woodway Lane. So you've got pictures on the right hand side, and you can see the I'll call it the principal access on the photograph at the bottom, and I think it's just in the background there's a secondary access being formed. A couple more photographs actually within the site there. Going back to the access arrangements, so there's outstanding concerns from the Highway Authority. And there's also outstanding concerns from the lead local flood authority. It's not been demonstrated that there is no risk of flooding from the site elsewhere. So those lack of details represents the recommended reasons for refusal 2 and 3. Now it is understood, and I think the applicant's representative speaking tonight, that they have work in hand to assess the particularly the highway and drainage arrangements, but as a matter of fact, we don't have that information now. And the officer's advice is we need to progress in the public interest to make a decision on these applications. Within the report, it's of great significance, highlighted on page 46, that the council cannot demonstrate a 5-year supply of gypsum traveller provision. And that's set out in the report. As a consequence of not being able to demonstrate that supply, the presumption in favour of sustainable development applies to this decision. Notwithstanding that presumption in favour of sustainable development, the conflict with the planning policies and the concerns that I've outlined in terms of recommendations for refusal on location, highways and drainage, and the planning terminology, they significantly and demonstrably outweigh the proposed benefits, which are also significant in terms of the contribution to gypsum traveller pitch provision. But notwithstanding that, those conflicts outweigh those benefits. And as a consequence of that, we have recommended planning permission be refused for this scheme. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Adrian. We've got 2 speakers on this application, so can I ask the first speaker to come forward, Mr. Michael Stanhope, please? If you'd like to sit down and switch the microphone on. You've got 3 minutes. I'll give you a warning at 2 minutes, 30 seconds. Start whenever you're ready, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Michael Stanhope, a partner in FJ Stanhope Farms, and we farm land adjoining the land on 2 sides. If you could bear with me, I'd like to take you back to the afternoon of Friday, the 26th of September last year. A horse is peacefully grazing in a field. This particular field has not changed much in perhaps 150 years, although it is perhaps not as well grazed as it once was. It has never been subjected to modern farming techniques, no pesticides, no artificial fertilizer. It is perhaps not very productive, but it is an ecological time capsule and worth preserving, and the horse likes it. There are 2 ponds, one of which used to be a pump spring, but was neglected now just a pond. It's an idyllic setting, but on that Friday, this is just about to change. In the early evening, the owners of the field arrived. The gateway is widened by ripping out part of the roadside hedge, and tractors, diggers and bulldozers and a fleet of caravans drive in. The owners have a busy weekend. By Monday, the topsoil on much of the field has been scraped back and load after load of rubble has been dumped and spread. The field is devastated, which I guess is the object of the exercise. My reasons for objecting. The application uses a plan that does not represent the applicant's ownership. A strip of land on the western boundary is the property of FJ Stanhope Farms. And on a technical point, if this is a retrospective planning application, then how come that it was sent into HDC before the work started? Trespass and damage. The applicant has illegally removed a neighbour's hedge and levelled their ditch. This is not only trespass, it is also illegal to scrub out a hedge. We will be taking legal action. Sewage. There is no main sewage within at least half a mile of this site, and there are no plans in the application for a sewage system. This is extremely worrying to us as neighbours, since the site slopes down the hill, dropping 10 metres over the length of the site. Not only the surface water, which is now likely to be polluted by passing through the rubble, but any unmanaged foul water will also be carried onto our fields. New regulations mean that a site of this size will need a treatment plant, be subject to licensing, monitoring, building regulations, need maintenance and to be inspected annually. I have no faith that this will be complied with and that the environmental authorities, whether they be attached to Harbour District Council or the Environment Agency, would be able to enforce all of these burdensome conditions. Traffic. The safety of the entrance to the rural office park at Alma House will be severely compromised by the new entrance to the applicant's site. Anyone turning left out of the office park towards Claybrook Harbour will potentially be confronted by vans, trailers, lorries and caravans with very little warning turning in and out.
Excuse me, Mr. Stanhope, 30 seconds remaining.
As you leave Alma Park, you are completely blind to the very close entrance to the applicant's site. The proposed site will not only be residential, it will also obviously be commercial. The occupants are likely to be involved in building maintenance, etc., which will produce commercial vehicle traffic movements. Their materials will be stored on the site and work preparation will be done on the site. Rubbish is already being burnt on the site. Last Friday, the A5 was filled with smoke emanating from the site, and people walking nearby reported that there was a very strong smell of plastic. I'm sure you're delighted.
Stanhope,
We've run out
sorry,
of
your
time.
time is up.
Thank you for listening. Sorry, that was a bit garbled, but it's quite.
Thank you, Mr Stanhope. Has anyone got any questions for the gentleman? No, thank you very much.
Okay. Need to lay awake all night last night.
Our next speaker is Sam Pryor. If you'd like to come forward, please. You've got 3 minutes and you'll be given a 30-second warning. Start whenever you're ready, please.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to address you this evening. My name is Sam Pryor and I'm speaking on behalf of the applicant for the application reference 2501-339 FUL. It's important to note that we've only recently taken over as planning agent for this application, with the applicant instructing us in mid-January. As such, it's noted and accepted that numerous consultees have requested more information in order to fully assess this proposal. Since becoming a planning agent for this application, we've instructed a full topographic survey, a more detailed set of plans, flood risk assessment with detailed drainage strategy, ecology, landscaping, a full plan design and access statement with transport statement, visibility displays, track path analysis, all to follow. Members will be aware that officers are recommending refusal for this application. However, we're not asking the committee to overturn that tonight. Instead, we're simply and respectfully requesting that the application be deferred to a later committee to allow for a proper assessment of the substantial new technical work that's been instructed and is currently underway. Members will appreciate that these material considerations will go to the heart of the planning balance. Therefore, it would be premature and, in our view, unfair for the application to be determined before the committees had the opportunity to consider this information properly. Notwithstanding the above, as set out at paragraph 710 of the committee report, the local authority has a clear need for an application of this nature. The council's latest published position demonstrates a 1.03-year supply for deliverable sites. Turning to the development plan, policy H6 of the Harbour Local Plan outlines that criteria 5 where development for new extensions or improvements to existing permitted or lawful gypsy and traveller sites will be permitted. As confirmed by the case officer within the committee report, the application complies with criteria 5 points A and C, with points D, E, G.1, 2, 3 and 4, all being achieved on evidence in the pending technical reports, plans and plan design and access statement. The proposal is deemed to not comply with criteria 5 point B of policy H6 by the officers. Although the site is located in a rural setting and it cannot reasonably be described as within safe walking distance of day-to-day services, it nevertheless performs an acceptable function in locational terms when assessed in the round. Claybrook Parva lies circa 970 metres north-east of the application site and contains a primary school which is currently attended by the residents of the site, demonstrating a clear functional relationship with the settlement. In addition, GP surgeries are located in Olsthorpe, circa 1.9 kilometres from the site, and are accessed by residents via private vehicle. Nowhere in the PPTS does it specify that these services need to be within walking distance. The applicant's personal circumstances will be detailed in full within the pending plan design and access statement. In closing, Chair and members, the applicant simply seeks the opportunity for this proposal to be considered on the basis of a full and properly evidenced planning case.
Mr. Pryor, 30 seconds.
This is why professional planning representation was appointed earlier this year by the applicant to ensure the issues identified by officers and consultees are addressed transparently, thoroughly, and in accordance with both local and national policy. We respectfully ask that the applicant is afforded a fair representation for a deferral, allowing members to reach a decision informed by a complete body of evidence rather than an incomplete picture. This approach would not prejudice the council's position nor bind members to a particular outcome. It would simply ensure that the decision, whether approval or refusal, is made on the basis of full, accurate information in line with good decision-making practice.
Your time is up now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pryor.
Thank you.
Has anyone got any questions? Councillor Bannister?
Thank you, Mr. Pryor. Given that there is outstanding critical information relating to highway safety, the flood risk and drainage sewage, did you give any consideration that the application really ought to be withdrawn until that information is to hand?
Well, we thought the applicant deserves the opportunity for a fair representation. Therefore, we thought going for a deferral in this instance was the best protocol. As I've outlined in my committee speech, we were appointed in mid-January. As soon as we were appointed, well, actually prior to appointment, start of January, we were in liaison with consultants, getting everything in a line. And obviously, as you can imagine, the kind of level of additional reports needed to accompany the application in its current state was substantial. But we've been working proactively with the consultants and the applicant to make sure that everything is all instructed and in place. And currently, I can update that the ecology survey, the ecologist is attending sites next week. As well as having, like I said, the full topo that's already been done at the site, and we're still awaiting the final other reports back. But as there are so many different reports, as you can imagine, it can take a few weeks. Therefore, the approach to defer at this committee for a later committee to again, discuss the application was preferred.
Anyone else? Councillor James?
Oh, just picking up on that point, Sam. I mean, you're asking for a deferment and you're describing quite a lot of additional work that's got to be done.
Yep.
So what sort of timescale are we talking about to get the work done for you to come back?
Well, I can't speak with absolute certainty on other consultants' leaving times, as you can imagine, but rest assured we have, instructed these on our applicants' behalf. They are currently, as we speak, in the process of being finalised. I'd say 6 weeks would be fair to get everything across. Like I say, we've got the topo done. The ecologist is attending site next week, so I would expect the ecology survey to be done within the next 3 weeks. But obviously, like I say, where they're external consultants, I can't say for absolute certainty when that will come across my desk, but they have been instructed and they are in the works at the minute.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, anyone else? Councillor Elliott?
Yes, the gentleman before you, Mr. Stanhope, said that there was no storage system on the site. Is that correct, or is there likely to be any storage system put in?
That will be fully outlined and addressed within the plan design and access statement. As you can imagine and hopefully respect, where we took this application on from in mid-January, and as you guys have all seen, the level of information that was initially provided to the council was lacking. Therefore, when we took instruction on this application, we saw it paramount to make sure that the council had as detailed of evidence that we could put forward from external consultants, external consultants to help us kind of put together as strong a case as possible. So drainage, sewage, everything like that will be outlined within the full plan design and access statement.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor James again.
Chair, can I just clarify who is the landowner? Please.
Off the top of my head and information in front of me, I'll have to, I couldn't say that at the moment.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, thank you very much. You can go back to your seat.
Thank you.
Thank you. You want to switch the microphone off, just the button at the bottom. Press that. Thank you. Right. Adrian has got something to say about that.
Yeah, just a couple of things to pick up on, and certainly since the agent got involved, I think there has been quite a bit of a step change in terms of, as he described, potentially getting work done. In terms of bringing this report forward, and ultimately the suggestion, for example, as deferral is a matter for the planning committee. It's obviously something the officers considered in taking this report forward. But you've heard tonight, and some of those things, there simply isn't any certainty of when they'll come forward. I don't doubt they're arriving, but I can't say when. We've mentioned that it's very significant the council doesn't have a provision, and it's important, therefore, in the public interest and in relation to the provision of pitches, that we do take decisions forward, which may or may not contribute to that provision, but it's important we take the decisions forward. And also, actually, from what I heard tonight, the first reason for refusal with respect the applicant takes a different view, if you like, and a matter for discussion, but the technical reports were mentioned probably would address that. And that's not to say, for example, Councillor Bannister asked why not withdraw, that's for the applicants, but also, you know, whatever the decision tonight, they're not prevented necessarily from making another application if it has other information. Thank you.
Thank you. It's open to the committee now. Councillor Wellband.
Yes, thank you very much. Just say thank you for all the work that's gone into this report. Fully agree with the recommendation to refuse, so I'm happy to propose refusal. Thank you.
Recommending refusal. Councillor Page, Mrs. Page.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, officers, for a very comprehensive report, and I'd like to second that refusal.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone got some comments? Councillor Bannister.
I just think it's a great shame that we have the report without the required information. I think we ought to make a decision today on the basis of the report that we have. There's some very significant reasons are set out for refusing the application. And I hope that the applicants go away and consider what more they need to do. But as it stands, I can't support this application.
Anyone else? Councillor Elliott.
Yes, I agree as well. We can't support this application. Half the information's missing, and I would have to say that it doesn't go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Has anyone else got anything to say? If not, I think we've had a proposer and a seconder, Councillor Wellband and Councillor Mrs. Page. I'll take it to the vote. So if you'd like to take over, Sarah.
So it is being proposed that the application be refused. So I'll now ask each councillor in turn whether you are for or against or abstain the refusal of the application. Councillor Bannister.
And for the proposal.
Councillor Burrell.
For.
Councillor Elliott.
Sorry. Against.
Can I just check that are you for the refusal? Yes.
So could I just clarify? So I'll be asking whether the proposal is to refuse the application. So if I can just ask if you are for the refusal, against the refusal, or whether you abstain, just for clarification.
Thank you. Thank you.
Councillor Graves.
For.
Councillor James.
For.
Councillor Mrs. Page.
For the refusal.
Councillor Scott.
For the refusal.
Councillor Wellband.
For.
And Councillor Worrell.
For.
So the decision is unanimous and the proposal is refused.
Thank you very much. So as we heard, that proposal is refused. I'll pause a moment if anyone wants to leave the room, having listened to that first application. Do we have any people who want to go? No? So we've got a bit of space in case anybody wants to come up from downstairs.
So I don't think also go upstairs. What's your choice? Those both necessarily also.
Okay, so we'll carry on now with our second application. Please. Our second application is Birch Cottage Drayton Road, Medbourne, 25/01177/FUL, erection of porch extension. Nicola Parry is presenting this one for us.
Thank you, Councillor Burrell. Good evening. Okay, the application site relates to a recently built two-storey detached dwelling, which forms part of a group of 5 dwellings located on the edge of Medbourne off Drayton Road. You can see the site location plan here. You can see the 5 recently new built dwellings, and the application site is this property here. This is the existing and proposed block plan. As mentioned, planning permission is sought for a 2-storey rear extension, which obviously I'm indicating here. It's also proposing a 2-storey rear and side extension in this area here, and a 1-storey extension here. So these are the floor plans proposed. Again, you can see the extension here and here, and obviously the porch at the front. The elevations again, so you can see the 2-storey rear extension gable here, second 2-storey rear side extension, and the 1-storey, and again the porch at the front. And then this is a 3D visual that's been provided by the applicant, so you can see it in 3D. The application came before members in December and was deferred for a site visit, which took place yesterday. So for those members that want a site visit, and for those that want, there's some photographs looking up and down Drayton Road. Again, you can see this is, I'm just circling the application site, Birch Cottage here. And again, here you can see the established hedgerow at the front. Again, Birch Cottage looking in the other direction. And then a bit further along Drayton Road, again looking back, just obviously clearly well screened by this tree that's not in leaf at the minute, so it'll be even more screened obviously when that tree is in leaf. This is the rear of Birch Cottage. Helpfully, the applicant marked out where the extension was going to go. So the pink line here was indicating where the 2-storey extension was going to go, and then this blue line here indicates where the 1-storey extension is going to go. Obviously, that would result in the removal of the shed. Some more photos here. Again, you can see the pink line indicating the extent of the 2-storey extension, and you can see the neighbouring properties either side as well, as I'm just pointing out to you. This is the view from West Cottage Garden, again looking back towards the application site. This is the view from Hawk Cottage Garden, again looking back towards the application site. So the 2-storey rear projection will be here in this location here. Hopefully that's some helpful photographs for you. And then the silver birch tree that you will see mentioned in the original report and the addendum report obviously is highlighted for you here. And this is a storey height plan that's been submitted, again just showing 2-storey in the sort of peachy pink colour, the 1-storey elements, and then obviously the 1-storey extensions that have been put on by both neighbours. Again, you can see the indication of the silver birch tree as well. So having listened to the concerns raised at the last meeting, the applicant has amended part of the scheme to reduce the impact upon Holt Cottage. The rear projecting gable has been reduced by 700 mm in depth and has been stepped in by 100 mm, increasing the distance from the boundary to 1.4 metres. There has also been a reduction in the ridge height, and the reduction in the depth has also given a greater separation from the neighbour's silver birch tree. The applicant has also accepted the additional conditions suggested by officers as mentioned within the report addendum. Officers have reconsulted on the amended plans, and objections have been received from the 2 neighbouring properties and the parish council. Whilst officers accept the extensions are large, they satisfy the Council Development Management SPD in that they are subservient to the existing dwelling, as they have been set down from the main ridge height of the dwelling, have matching materials, and they have the same style roof pitches. And in terms of residential amenity, the 45-degree guideline is not breached in respect to the rear projecting gable and Holt Cottage, as indicated again on this plan before you here. You can see the green line. Concerns have been raised that the 2-storey element, which extends 1.8 metres beyond the side wall of the existing house, will fill the visual gap between Birch Cottage and West Cottage. And whilst this will be the case to some degree, there will still be a 2-metre gap, again, as indicated on this plan before you. You can see this hashed line here, which I'm just pointing out to you. Furthermore, in officer's opinion, The visual gap will not be affected by the wider street scene, as I've indicated in those photographs before you. It's only until you're actually on the property itself will you see that extension, which I'm just indicating here for you. The proposal is judged to satisfy both the local plan and the neighbourhood plan, and for the reasons given within the report and the addendum report, the application is recommended for approval subject to conditions. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicola. We've got quite a few speakers on this one, so we'll ask Mr. Richard Fawcett to come forward, please. You'd like to sit down and switch the microphone on. You've got 3 minutes, and you'll be given a 30-second warning. Start whenever you're ready, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for taking the time to visit our home yesterday. Really appreciate you coming to see the situation and our concerns for yourselves. Although some changes have been made to the plans, they do not address the main problems. The extension would still be too large, too close to neighbouring homes and too dominant in this setting. It would feel overbearing, reduce residential amenity for nearby residents, and the proposed new window would lead to loss of privacy. We bought our family home 6 years ago because of its open feel, outlook, and the way the houses sit and complement each other. It's a small community. We understand that this development was carefully planned and went through a lengthy process before it was approved by the council. It was designed to respect It was designed to respect the Medbourne setting, which was once a paddock, with homes carefully positioned to protect neighbouring amenity. The level of scrutiny applied to the original scheme gave us confidence that an extension of this scale and form would not be supported. We never anticipated that anyone would try and change a cottage in such a way. As the applicants know, we have extended our own home, but we did so carefully and on a far smaller scale. We consulted our neighbours before submitting the plans and chose a single-storey extension to avoid adversely affecting others. We believe this is the right approach to improving a home, whereas this application was submitted without consultation and without proper consideration of its impact on neighbouring residents. We recognise there is high demand for homes in Medbourne. It's a popular village. However, that demand should not be met by people buying houses and changing them to meet their needs, despite negatively affecting neighbours or undermining the character of the area. There are reasonable ways to create a 5-bedroom home without causing this level of impact, and those alternatives should be pursued. This is our family home. We have invested a lot of time and money and care into it. Knowing that this development could significantly change how we live and enjoy our home is deeply upsetting for our family. The impact of this enormous brick wall we will see from inside and outside our house will be permanent. The additional window that has appeared in the amendments is another impact on privacy, where neighbours will have a view right down onto our garden where our children play. The Parish Council has objected to the amended proposal, again raising concerns about its scale, massing, impact on neighbouring property.
Mr. Fawcett, 30 seconds remain.
They state it does not comply with the policy H5 in the Medbourne Neighbourhood Plan, reinforcing concerns that the development is disproportionate to its surrounding. I know in the supplementary documents that they might have got a few of the measurements incorrect. However, it's still excessive and it's still over 81%. Again, we're worried about silver birch tree. The development on the footprint itself places unavoidable
Mr. Fawcett, sorry, your time is up.
Okay, thanks for your time.
Thank you very much. Has anyone got any questions? Mr. Fawcett? No. Okay, thank you very much. The next speaker is Vernon Bradbury. If you'd like to come forward, please. You've got 3 minutes. Start when you're ready and you'll be given a 30-second warning.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Vernon Bradbury and I live at 15 Drayton Road with my wife Judith. So we live next door to Richard Fawcett, who you've just heard from, and his wife Sarah. Like them, we bought the house directly from the builders, and in our case, we also bought it 6 years ago. Please allow me to explain briefly why we chose this development. It is relevant to our objection to this application being made. Previously, we lived in villages north of Northampton for 25 years. And during this time, these villages have been subject to a massive increase in housing, particularly high density developments, which have completely spoiled the nature of these villages. So we made the decision to move away. After 3 or 4 years, we found this development in Medbourne, which we liked, as Richard and Sarah had. We thought between the planners and the builders, they had been thought it well through, and they'd come up with a nice low density set of houses, and they designed it with the village location in mind. So you can understand why, given this Northampton experience, we were very dismayed when we received this planning application in the post. Now, I think I should make the point that all 3 objectors tonight, we're all neighbours, we have all extended our homes here in Drayton Road. We're not NIMBYs. We do accept the right of people to extend their properties, but to do it on an appropriate scale. As Richard said, we all consulted with our neighbours before we put in planning applications, and we took on board their comments. In summary, I don't think I can do better than repeat the objections of the parish council to this planning application. This revised extension still significantly increased the size of the existing house on all measures, including building footprint by 90%. It's virtually doubling the house. This does not adhere to the Medbourne Neighbourhood Plan, which states that development proposals, including houses and extensions, should respect the local character having regard to scale, massing, height, landscape layout. It should take into account the amenity of neighbouring occupiers. That neatly sums up our own feelings on the matter, and we would ask the Planning Committee to reject this application on those grounds. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you very much. Has anyone got any questions? No, thank you. Our next speaker is Robbie Craven. Hello. You've got 3 minutes and you'll be given a 30-second warning. Start whenever you're ready, please. Would you want to switch the microphone? Thank you.
Thank you. Members of the committee, thank you for allowing me to speak. I won't repeat matters of policy. Instead, I want to focus on the scale of this proposal and what it means in terms for those of us who live beside it. For the past 6 years, West Cottage has been our forever home. We chose this development deliberately because of its space, balance and proportion. The separation between the cottages and the absence of a continuous building line were central to that choice and to the character of the small group of homes. We are not opposed to development or to extensions in principle. A reasonable, well-scaled extension that respects neighbouring homes and the original design would not concern us. However, this proposal goes far beyond that. The size and massing of the estate extension fundamentally alters the relationship between the buildings. It introduces a near continuous building line that creates a structure that is overbearing and dominant, significantly reducing the sense of space that defines these cottages. This is not about drawings or measurements. It's about everyday experience in our own home, stepping outside and feeling enclosed where we once felt openness and losing character of the environment we intentionally chose. The process itself has already had a real impact on us. Living with the uncertainty of such large and imposing change has been deeply stressful and has affected our well-being and sense of security in what should be our place of refuge. The scale of this proposal has also damaged what once was a friendly and supportive small community. That loss of goodwill is not insignificant, and it forms part of the wider impact of this application. We have invested years of care and emotion into our forever home. This is not simply an asset. It is where we planned our future based on the original design of the development. I appreciate that committee must make a balance many factors. I respectfully ask that you give proper weight to the overbearing scale of this proposal and the very real human consequences that the approval would bring. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Has anyone got any questions? No, thank you. Our next speaker is Matthew Cooper. Mr. Cooper, you've got 4.5 minutes. You'd like to start whenever you're ready and you'll be given a 30-second warning. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Matthew Cooper. I'm the architect for the project. Firstly, I'd like to say thank you for the opportunity to speak again in support of this application, which case officer and senior planning team continue to recommend for approval. The scheme has been further refined in collaboration with the senior planning team to address comments from neighbours and committee members, resulting in a sensitive and proportionate extension with improved massing that sits sensitively alongside its neighbours and the surrounding development. The first floor master bedroom window facing West Cottage has also been omitted. The further refinements mean that the overall increase in floor area has been reduced. The reduction in the overall scale also means that the total building footprint to the plot area now reflects that of Holt Cottage and number 15 Drayton Road, which ranges between 26 and 27%. Any suggestion that the proposal should be considered as overdevelopment can therefore not be justified. The revised proposal has received just 3 objections, with only 2 written objections. We understand that those that continue to object to this application live directly adjacent to Birch Cottage. We highlight that the occupiers within this small development, or that the other occupiers within this small development, no longer object to the application. Occupiers on the properties on the opposite side of Drayton Road have no objection, and there have been no objections from other residents within the village. The neighbouring tree belonging to Holt Cottage has been considered as part of the application. The reduced building footprint is positioned almost 3 metres from the tree. We've indicated the root protection area of the tree on the latest information submitted to the planning case officer, which the extension does not impede. We have also obtained arboricultural advice, which concluded that there will be no impact on the tree or its life expectancy. The applicant is happy to accept a condition requiring the submission of an arboricultural method statement to ensure that the tree is safeguarded during the works. The 2-storey extensions are proposed so that they are no closer to the neighbouring properties than the existing house. The 2-storey extension adjacent to West Cottage is some 3.8 metres from West Cottage's side elevation, and visual gap between the proposed 2-storey extension and West Cottage maintained to ensure appropriate spacing between them. The single-storey extension adjacent to West Cottage is offset from the boundary with side access still retained. A gap of over 2.5 metres between Birch Cottage and Holt Cottage is also maintained. The proposed extensions are subservient to the existing dwelling, with lower ridges to their roofs. The proposed building footprint is no deeper than 4.5 metres, with a proposed rear projection of just 4 metres. Access to all sides of the properties will be retained, which reflect the principles set out in the original development. The site is approximately 90 metres from the conservation area boundary, which therefore remains unaffected by the proposals. Flood risk assessment has been completed as part of the application, which addresses the concerns raised relating to flooding, surface water runoff, and includes flood mitigation measures. The extension is over 8.5 metres away from the Medbourne Brook buffer zone and therefore fully respects this biodiversity corridor. This is a sensitively designed scheme that adopts a traditional vernacular with quality materials proposed, including ironstone, natural slate and oak detailing, that will complement the setting of Birch Cottage and the surrounding dwellings of this small development, and is very much in keeping with the character of Medbourne. The positioning and massing of the extensions have been carefully considered, so they respect the neighbouring properties' amenity space and retain a sense of openness. The application therefore fully accords with policy H5 of the neighbourhood plan and policy GD8 of the local plan. For the above reasons, the planning officer and senior planning team continue to recommend the application for approval. We trust that you are able to support the case officer's recommendation and vote to approve this sensitively designed scheme. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cooper. Has anyone got any questions for Mr. Cooper? No, thank you. Our next speaker is Mr. Gavin Condon. Hello, Mr. Condon. You've got 4.5 minutes as well, if you'd like to start when you're ready, and you'll get a 30-second warning. Thank you.
Good evening. We never envisaged finding ourselves in this position and are saddened that our application has caused concern locally. However, we are grateful to the planning team for their ongoing support and continued recommendation for approval. Our intentions have always been sincere, to create a long-term home for our young and growing family. We have made a significant personal and financial investment and remain strongly committed. Supporting family in housing is an important local objective, and our proposal has been designed sensitively to meet our needs whilst respecting character of the village. The additional accommodation provides a more practical, family-friendly home. It enables our parents to stay weekly to provide essential childcare and offers flexibility for multi-generational living, including the ability to support our parents as they support us. We were encouraged that a number of neighbouring homes have already been extended and were reassured that these had all been accepted without objection. Birch Cottage benefits from a more generous tapered plot which comfortably accommodates the proposal. The resulting build footprint to plot ratio remains appropriate within its context and comparable to neighbouring dwellings. We recognise that change can raise concerns and we appreciate those feelings. From the outset, we have sought professional advice and engaged proactively. We have since met with our architect, the senior planning team, resulting in a revised and responsive scheme to further address neighbour and committee member comments. In particular, the garage has been removed entirely and parking provisions will be increased. The rear projecting gable has been reduced by 700 millimetres, so it is now under 4 metres in length. It has been stepped in and the ridge height further reduced. The side window has also been removed. These amendments exceed the changes suggested by the senior planning officers and what has previously been approved. The side extension intentionally steps down from 2-storey to single-storey, softening the overall appearance within the street scene. It sits nearly 30 metres from the public highway and projects by less than 1.8 metres. A clear visual gap between the two properties is retained. Properties directly opposite with clear views of the site have not raised objections, which further indicates that the wider street scene impact would be limited. In addition, the level of neighbour objection has reduced following the updated scheme. Materials selected ensure visual harmony and cohesion, whilst all roof ridges remain subservient to the main house. Matters of scale, massing and neighbouring amenity have been robustly assessed by planning officers against policy, informed by site context, plot alignment, orientation and site visits. Officers conclude there is no policy conflict and no unacceptable harm, including no loss of light, outlook or privacy. We firmly believe the amended scheme represents a sympathetic proposal, carefully shaped in response to its surroundings and the feedback received. We have approached this application reasonably, with courtesy and politeness throughout. We hope that with this context, our intentions are clearly family orientated and reflect genuine care and consideration. We respectfully ask members to support the planning team's continued recommendation for approval. Thank you.
Very much. Has anyone got any questions for our speaker? No? Thank you very much. You got any comments, Nicola?
No, thank you.
Okay. I'll open it up to the committee now. Who's going to start? A few members were on the site visit yesterday. Anybody? Councillor Bannister, thank you.
Yes, I'll make a start on the discussion. I was on the site visit and I'm glad that we did get the deferment at the last committee meeting so that we could have a look and I acknowledge that during the subsequent deferment period, there have been amendments made, which does soften the massing that was taking place, because I really don't think I could have supported the original application. Thank you. I appreciate there's been some litigation, particularly between Holt Cottage and I'm sorry, the application and West Cottage. Not 100% convinced about the second-storey massing between the border with Holt Cottage. It was interesting on the site visit to note the extensions, the single-story extensions, and that the lack of impact they seem to have on the neighbouring properties. But this second story does appear to have a bit of an impact against Holt Cottage. It's difficult. I'd like to listen to what other committee members say before coming to any firm conclusion.
Thank you. Councillor Graves?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I wasn't on the site visit and I wasn't on the previous committee, so I'm bringing a fresh view this evening to this, and I did want to wait for someone to say something about what I had in mind, and I think you've said that, Councillor Bannister. Through looking at this, my principal concern is the second story overlooking the property next door. I appreciate the comments I've heard about first story extensions on other properties. I have looked at the north, south, east, west, and okay, southwest is reasonable light coming in. However, I do regard that second story out the back as very dominant, and I must admit I'm struggling to agree with the officer's assessment and the agent, I think it was, who kept talking about the word subservient, and I see the word subservient in here. I've looked up the definition of subservient, and I don't feel that that second story can possibly link in with the word subservient. I would like to see a design coming back with one story. Now, obviously, I've looked at what that second story is going to be used for. It's the master bedroom for the property by the looks of things. So it's possibly the one that they really do not want to sacrifice. But coming into this fresh, having looked at everything for the first time, my immediate and obvious concern is the second story out the back. And I'll park that there and listen to what other members say. Thank you.
Adrian has got a comment for you.
Just thought I'd your discretion just chip in as the officers got to mention that. And in terms of subservience, Councillor Groves mentioned overlooking, so I just wanted to clarify a few things. This overhead that's on the screen at the minute shows, sorry, I don't know if you can say I can put that on screen. So the overhead that we're looking at in the room shows what some of the planning commission were familiar with, and planning authorities across the country use this, something called a 45-degree line. So this is from Holt Cottage. So it shows it meets that criteria. And that's just a measure of overbearing, if you like. It's also useful on this particular plan to point out that Holt Cottage is to the south, due south of the extension. If I just go to when we talk about subservience, I can find the relevant plan. So I think it's this top bit here. So this two-story extension, there's no direct overlooking. I think the overlooking mentioned was of the garden areas. So effectively links from this aspect here. But that, honestly, from an officer's point of view, that really is not an unusual relationship across the district. So in terms of the side elevation, it's a judgment as to in terms of its massing, yes, but it answers the question subservience. It is smaller. You can see there in terms of, when I say smaller, it's subservient to the existing house. It's set down both in ridge and the, so that's where the officers are coming from. Thank you.
Thank you, Adrian. Has anyone else got any comments? Anyone who's on the site visit? Councillor Elliott?
I think this is a very difficult one. I can see two ways of looking at it, but I do think the two-story is a little much. But like I say, it's very difficult. I'll listen to what anybody else has got to say.
Anyone else got anything to say? No? It is a judgment call, this one. It's a big extension, but I felt that it would fit well into the plot. There won't be any overlooking from the side extension as far as I can see. The gap will still be retained between the two cottages, although obviously smaller than it is at the moment. But again, it's people who went on the site visit yesterday will know what I mean, because it is quite difficult to decide on this one. So, anyone got anything else to say? Councillor Wellband?
Why don't you put it to the vote, Chair, and see where we get to?
Yeah. Well, if nobody's got anything to say, I'll vote as recommended, or propose as recommended by the officers to approve this application. So let's see if I've got a seconder. Councillor Worrell? Councillor Worrell is seconding you. Okay, I'll hand it over to Sarah now.
So the proposal for this application is to approve the application. So I will ask each councillor in turn to say whether you're for, against or abstain. Councillor, before I ask for the vote, Councillor Mrs Page, because you weren't present for all of the debate, you won't be able to vote. Yep. Councillor Bannister.
I agree with Councillor Elliott. It's a difficult decision, but I'm going to vote against the proposal.
Councillor Burrell. For. Councillor Elliott.
Reluctantly against.
Councillor Graves.
Against.
Councillor James.
Approve.
Councillor Scott.
Approval.
Councillor Wellband. And Councillor Worrell.
For.
So we have 5 councillors voting for the approval and 3 councillors voting against. So the motion to approve the application is carried.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. So that application is approved. Thank you, everybody. Just pause in case there's anybody who wants to come up from downstairs. Sarah? Okay, everybody, are we ready to carry on? I've got some people.
Thank you very much.
We're just counting up the spare spaces.
Thanks. Yeah.
We'll carry on now with our next application, which is at Great Bowden, Dingley Road, 25/00608/FUL. The erection of 11 dwellings, including 2 affordable bungalows. It's on page 48 of your papers. And Nicola Parry is presenting this one as well.
Thank you. The site is located immediately to the east of a relatively new residential development of 4 detached dwellings to the north of Dingley Road on the eastern edge of Great Bowden. The northern boundary, as you can see before you, is formed by trees and hedgerows, beyond which lies a paddock and associated agricultural building. To the rear of this is a private tennis court associated with the residential dwelling known as The Grange, a Grade 2 listed building, an annex known as Grange Farm Barn. To the east, the boundary is formed by post and rail fencing with agricultural land lying beyond, and the James Adler Nature Reserve. The southern boundary is bound by native hedgerows and trees. Again, you can see that on the plan before you. To To the south of the site, on the opposite side of Dingley Road, is the village cemetery, which is a non-designated heritage asset and a designated local green space as identified within the Great Bowden Neighbourhood Plan. The site is located outside of but close to the village conservation area, and there are also several listed buildings in close vicinity to the site, including several along Dingley Road itself. So here's some site photos. So this is the view looking into the site towards number 23 and number 25 Dingley Road and the northern and eastern boundaries. This is the view from the site entrance looking east and west along Dingley Road and opposite towards the cemetery. These photographs are taken from the applicant's LVIA. So the view too that you can see there is from Dingley Road, which is approximately 20 metres from the site looking southeast. And you've then got view 3 underneath that, which is from Dingley Road, which is approximately 70 metres from the existing site looking southeast. You then go to the top and we've got view 5, which is from Great Bowden Cemetery, which is approximately 55 metres from the site looking north. View 7 below that, which is from Dingley Road, approximately 55 metres from the site looking north. And then finally view 8, which is from public footpath A54, which is approximately 330 metres from the site looking north. The application following amendments seeks full planning permission for 11 dwellings. 5 of the 11 plots are located at the site frontage and consist of a terrace of 4 3-bedroom homes on the eastern side of the access and a detached 4-bedroom house on the western side of the access. So as I'm circling here to you, these are the 4 terrace properties and this is plot 5, the detached property. And then as you go into the development itself, you've then got a pair of bungalows here, which will be affordable. And then you've got detached properties, 2-storey along the boundary at the back. The dwellings have been designed to incorporate a range of architectural detailing and external materials, which are considered to reflect the local vernacular. And I've got some of the house types to show you here. So these are the house types, plots 1 to 5. So as I've just indicated, this is the terrace development, which reflects the properties along further along Dingley Road. And then plot 5. You've then got the proposed bungalows here, plot 6 and 7, and then plot 8. And then you've got house types 9 to 11. In terms of scale, the two bungalows, will have a maximum ridge height of 5.6 metres. The 4 terraced units will have a maximum ridge height of 8.4 metres, and the 5 detached dwellings will range in height between 8.3 metres to 9.2 metres. The applicant has prepared 3 amended cross sections, and that's shown before you now, as well as several CGIs to demonstrate how the development will appear. With regards to the cross sections, these have been based on the worst case scenario with regards to the requirement for land rising, approximately 1.5 metres, in order to provide a satisfactory surface water drainage scheme. The applicant has advised it is likely that these levels will reduce once the final drainage strategy is known. Furthermore, details of exact proposed ground levels and finished floor levels will be controlled by way of condition. And these are the CGIs that have been put forward by the applicant. In terms of the principle of the development, the application is judged to satisfy local plan policy GD2 for the reasons outlined between paragraph 6.1 and 6.13 of your report. In terms of the Great Bowden Neighbourhood Plan, the proposal conflicts with policy H1. However, this plan is more than 5 years old and officers do not consider the conflicts identified with this policy significantly and demonstrably outweigh the benefits of granting planning permission. It is also important to note that the council cannot currently demonstrate a 5-year supply of housing sites, and as such paragraph 11D of the National Planning Policy Framework is engaged. In terms of the new local plan, the site is proposed to be allocated for housing, with the council suggesting that up to 15 dwellings could be deliverable on the site. In terms of the Great Bowden Neighbourhood Plan review, the site is still designated as being in the open countryside outside the settlement boundary. However, both these documents only carry limited weight as neither have been independently examined. Now turning to technical considerations. The local hire authority has assessed the proposal and has advised the local planning authority they have no objections subject to conditions and Section 106 contributions towards sustainable travel. County Ecology have reviewed the supporting ecology documents, including the biodiversity net gain assessment, and have raised no objections subject to conditions. County Archaeology have reviewed the supporting documents and raised no objections subject to a condition requiring a programme of archaeological investigation. The lead local authority has requested additional information in relation to surface water connection, which officers consider can be sufficiently dealt with by way of a condition. Anglian Water have advised that the site is within the catchment of Market Harbour Water Recycling Centre, which currently lacks the capacity to accommodate additional flows generated by the proposed development, and have suggested a pre-occupancy condition, which would prevent occupation of the site until the planned upgrade works to the facility have been completed, and submitted a King's Council opinion to support their approach. The applicant has provided a detailed rebuttal to this pre-occupancy condition, and officers agree with the applicant that it would be unreasonable to agree to such a condition as is effectively vetoing development until at least April 2030. Furthermore, it should be noted that Anglian Water have a legal duty to provide water connections for new developments such as this, and no details have been provided by Anglian Water explaining how such a small development of 11 dwellings would have sufficient impacts on the facility. As such, officers have recommended a new suggested condition to deal with foul drainage. Turning to landscape impact, officers have reviewed the supporting landscape and visual impact assessment and concur with the landscape and visual effects identified. There will be a change of some of the views assessed, but none of the long-term effects are judged to be major adverse, and therefore the harm will be localised and not significant such to warrant a refusal. In terms of heritage impact, no harm has been identified to nearby listed buildings or the cemetery, which previously mentioned is a non-designated heritage asset. Officers consider the proposed development would result in a degree of harm to the setting and thereby significance of Great Bowden Conservation Area. This harm is considered to be less than substantial. A finding of less than substantial harm still carries considerable importance and weight. Indeed, paragraph 212 of the NPPF states that when considering the impact of development on the significance of a designated heritage asset, great weight should be given to the asset's conservation. Paragraph 215 of the NPPF advises where a development proposal would lead to less than substantial harm to the significance of a designated heritage asset, the harm should be weighed against the public benefits of the proposal. Public benefits would include the provision of 11 new homes, 2 of which would be affordable bungalows, which are located in a sustainable and accessible location. These public benefits are judged to outweigh the harm identified to heritage. In terms of residential amenity, as previously mentioned, the site is located adjacent to existing housing, and a detailed assessment has been undertaken to assess the impact of the proposal upon existing residents, namely 19, 23 and 25 Dingley Road. Please see paragraph 6.12 to 6.13 of the report and the corrections noted within the supplementary paper. Whilst it is accepted that the outlook from adjacent properties will change significantly as a result of the proposed development, no significant harm can be identified to neighbouring amenity in terms of the proposal being overbearing, causing loss of privacy or loss of light such to warrant refusal. To conclude, the conflict with the Great Bowden Neighbourhood Plan would not significantly and demonstrably outweigh the benefits of the proposal. Accordingly, in such circumstances and having regard to framework paragraph 11D, officers recommend planning permission should be granted, subject to securing the infrastructure provisions set out in Appendix A and conditions set out in Appendix B of the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicola. We've got 4 speakers on this application. The first speaker is Robert Wilson. If you'd like to come forward, Mr. Wilson. Would like to switch the microphone on. Got 3 minutes.
No, so I don't think I needed 3 minutes. I think we've got our orders a bit wrong, but I'm the applicant and I was here more for questions than for to give a speech. There's my architect and the planning consultant will do that, but I'm just here to say that yeah, we put a lot of effort in. We're on our 4th design of this site. I'm a huge fan of Great Bowden. I think my wife single-handedly props up the coffee shops there, and we've tried very hard to do a development that we think is in keeping to the area. So yeah, more just for questions if any of the members have any.
Anyone got some questions? Councillor Scott?
Can you tell me what sort of consultation have you had with the local people and the parish council in that area?
So that was conducted by my team, not by me. So again, the orderings come a bit wrong here.
But there was full consultation, drop-in sessions, that sort of thing, no?
I'm sorry, I'm not.
Okay, I'll ask the question.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Anyone else got any questions for our speaker? No? Okay, thank you, Mr Wilson.
Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is Andrew Jones. Hello, Mr Jones. Would you like to switch the microphone on? You've got 3 minutes, so you're going to take 3 minutes?
Yes, I'll probably will take most of the 3
You'll be
minutes.
given a 30-second warning.
Thank you. I'd like to begin by thanking your Council's Case Officer, Nicola Parry, for her hard work throughout the passage of this application to committee. This scheme constitutes a very high quality scheme of 11 dwellings, including 2 affordable bungalows to be secured by legal agreement, which make a valuable contribution towards the supply of homes in the district. This is because, of course, particularly important given the district's current 5-year housing land supply deficit, as a result of which the presumption in favour of sustainable development applies. Now, as you'll know, Great Bowden is identified in the local plan as a selected rural village, i.e. a sustainable location for small, sensitively located development to meet local housing needs, which can help sustain the village's services. Members will note, and I've heard from Nicola, that several plan revisions have been submitted. These revisions have been produced to respond to consultee comments and to mitigate impacts upon heritage, landscape trees and neighbour amenity. Indeed, throughout the application, the applicants will work closely with both the case officer and the conservation officer to produce a design, layout and density that is appropriate given the edge of settlement, edge of village setting and the proximity to the conservation area. The heritage note does identify minor harm as a result of the proposed development, which constitutes less than substantial harm, a finding which the case officer and the conservation officer agree. Paragraph 215 of the NPPF makes clear that where a development proposal will lead to less than substantial harm to the significance of a designated heritage asset, this harm should be weighed against the public benefits of the proposal. In this case, the benefits of the delivery of housing in the context of a 5-year housing land supply deficit are substantial. All relevant matters have been addressed to the full satisfaction of consultees. The local highway authority advised the LPA that the impacts on the road network would not be severe. Drainage will be conditions that a deliverable solution is agreed in writing prior to any work commencing. There is neither an in-principle policy objection nor are there any unresolved technical objections from consultees. Policy GD2 explains that development adjoining the existing or committed built-up area of selected rural villages will be permitted where it is necessary to meet an identified district-wide housing need, which is agreed to be the case here. The NPPF also highlights the importance of small and medium sites, which can be delivered quickly and play a key role in meeting housing requirements. And critically, the Great Bowden Neighbourhood Plan is over 5 years old, contains no housing allocations and therefore attracts reduced weight given the application of the tilted balance. The proposals are broadly compliant with local and national policy, and even if any limited harm from the conflict with the neighbourhood plan is perceived, it would not come close to significantly and demonstrably outweighing the benefits as required by the
Mr Jones, 30 seconds.
of paragraph 11 of the NPPF, a conclusion with which your officers agree. In summary, this is a modest, proportionate, sensitive and high quality scheme that delivers significant public benefits. We therefore respectfully request that members follow their officers' advice, approve this application subject to the completion of a Section 106 agreement. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Has anyone got any questions for our speaker? Councillor James?
Thank you, Chair. Just going to page 59 in terms of concerns that the Leicestershire County Council Flood Authority have. They're requiring more information there, it seems to me. Would you have any comment on that, please?
That will be conditioned. So drainage is a matter that will be conditioned. So as a condition, drainage will be dealt with prior to any work commencing. The satisfaction of the LLFA.
Okay, so you see we'll be able to comply with all of those, yeah?
Yes, we believe we believe the solution is achievable. It's just that the level of investigatory work required is going to take some time. So the council have kindly agreed to condition that, which we think is a reasonable approach.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Councillor Scott?
Can I ask in reference to the foul water discharge and the slight argument between, it appears, my point of view, between between Anglia Water and the Environment Agency. Did you have a study taken to look at this particular foul water, or was this an opinion from the architects yourselves?
There's we don't have any information from Anglian Water
on as to why, you know, what level of harm they expect, why their water recycling centre cannot cope with the discharge from this site. So it's very difficult to provide anything in response as we don't understand the level of concern that they have.
So, sorry, can I put up with a question? So your element of you're looking at it, but it's based on the fact that they didn't have providing you with any information, so you couldn't argue with it.
Exactly.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, thank you very much. Our next speaker is Mr. Lee Staniforth. Welcome, Mr. Staniforth. You've got 3 minutes. Carry on when you're ready. You'll be given 30-second warning.
Good evening. Thank you all. Sorry, I'm another one that won't need the 3 minutes. It's I understand by protocol we have to register to talk in case you guys want to talk about or ask us any questions on design. So I just wanted to make myself available. But I will say that we have worked very hard with your planning team, and I think quite successfully over the past year or so to develop what we believe is a very sensitive and well considered scheme. Having gone through a number of iterations and taken on board a number of comments from your conservation department to hopefully deliver a well-considered scheme on what is essentially an allocated site under your emerging local plan suggested for 15 houses. And we're promoting and looking to deliver 11 well-considered designed houses. But as I say, I'm just here to answer any questions if you have anything on design, not drainage.
Has anyone got any questions? No. Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much.
You got anything to say, Nicola?
No, thank you.
Okay, I'll open it up to the committee. What? Oh, sorry. Sorry, Mr. Claxton, where are you? Councillor Claxton, sorry about that. Yeah. So you've got, you know the drill, don't you? You've got 3 minutes and you've given us your 30-second warning.
Okay. Since 2011, Great Bowden has risen from 449 houses to 685 houses, a 52.6 increase. Our population in that time has increased by 62%. All of these were allowed by yourselves. This particular site is outside of our settlement boundary. It's on a road with a radius curve. It has substantial traffic problems. It's opposite the cemetery. And it will bridge the gap between the existing housing and a 50-acre James Adler reserve. To permit development on this site would actually allow ribbon development and extend beyond our particular boundary. Your own Harbour District Council local plan identifies several sites for development, all of which are included within our settlement boundary, in particular GB2, 85 houses, and GB1, 15 houses. Also in our neighbourhood plan, which is currently undergoing Regulation 16, we have identified GB1, 8 dwellings at Buckminster Close, once again within the settlement boundary. The application site is therefore does not satisfy Great Bowden Neighbourhood Plans HP2 as it is located outside the defined settlement boundary. The public relevance of the proposal, including the delivery of housing at the time of a 5-year shortfall, do not outweigh the harm that has been identified. The proposal conflicts with Harbour Local Plan Policies GB4, GB8, Great Bowden Neighbourhood Policy H2, as well as the NPPF. The proposed development would harm the character and appearance of the area and cause less than substantial harm to the setting of adjacent listed buildings. Great Bowden Conservation Area and the Great Bowden Cemetery, which is a non-designated heritage asset. The proposal thus contrary to Harborough Local Plan Policy GD5, GD8, HC1 and Great Barden Neighbourhood Policies H6 and ENV6. The public benefits of the proposal, including the delivery of housing at a time of 5-year supply shortfall, do not outweigh the harm which has been identified. The proposal also conflicts with Harborough Local Policy Plans GD8 and HC1, Great Barden Neighbourhood Policy, as well as the NPPF and Planning Listed Buildings and Conservation Areas Act 1990, Sections 66 and 72. I urge you to refuse.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Claxton, anybody got any questions for Mr. Claxton? Or Councillor Claxton, I should say. Councillor James.
Councillor Claxton, if I could just get a comment from you also, going back to page 59 in terms of the culverts and the stormwater situation. I'm trying to think, I think the ground is fairly low there, but would you have any comment on the concern that the flood authority has made at the moment without their information?
As I alluded to before, we've had an awful lot of houses built in Great Barden in and around that side of Great Barden, and it all then goes down towards the treatment works.
Yeah.
And it's because of those additional houses, they can't cope now with what's there. So anything that additionally you put into that side of the town, that side of the village, they can't cope with.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Claxton. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor James. Anybody else? No? Okay, thank you, Councillor Claxton. I'll open it up to the committee now. Who's going to go first? Anybody? Okay, that's well done. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. I actually really like the scheme. It's great to see a couple of bungalows in there. Obviously, high demand for bungalows in the district, affordable bungalows. And it reminds me of a particular scheme we've got in Kibworth, which is a similar scheme, which is very good and I think added to the village. So I'm happy to propose approval for this one. Thank you.
You're proposing approval. Okay, thank you. Have I got a seconder? Councillor Scott, you seconding? Okay. Councillor Scott has seconded it. Has anyone else got anything to say? No? Oh, Councillor Bannister.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I've noted that in particular the conditions to meet the concerns on surface water management, surface water outfall, foul drainage. I note comments in the conclusion, paragraph 7.4 about the local plan and indeed the Great Barden neighbourhood plan deemed to be out of date because of being more than 5 years old and having very limited weight. And we have to apply the tilted balance in paragraph 11D of the NPPF. So I would support approving this scheme in light of those bits of information. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I just ask Nicola about trees? I think you somewhere in the report you mentioned you might be able to think about putting TPOs on the remaining trees on the site.
Yes.
Comment on that. Just find it. I think it's page 95. Possibly.
Yes, yes, my suggestion was that because the site is outside the conservation area, the trees are currently not protected. And because the tree survey identifies majority of those trees as being category B, which is quite a high category, my suggestion was that if members felt it appropriate, we could put on a tree preservation order on the trees that are to be retained, to give it some added protection to be kept. So that is a suggestion from officers to members. If they agree with the recommendation, then we would go forward with a tree preservation order.
So would that be a condition or would it just be carried forward if
it's undertaken under separate legislation, but also provided it's minuted? Yes, it would be a note to applicant, and as long as it's minuted to say that members would like those trees to be undertaken as with a tree preservation order, we could undertake that separately.
Right. So can I ask if we'd be happy to have TPOs on the remaining trees on the category B trees? Councillor Elliott?
Yeah, I think that's quite important. Yes, I would like that to go ahead.
Okay. You presumably would be happy with it. Yeah. So can we put a note to applicant then? I think the committee agrees with that, if we approve it. Has anyone else got anything to say about this application? I think it's been through a few iterations, and I think the final design is very interesting and provides a few smaller houses for Great Bowden, plus the 2 affordable bungalows, which I suspect are in quite short supply, like they are in most of the areas that we represent. And I think it's a really nice scheme as well. So if nobody's got anything else to say, I'll move to the vote. Sarah, over to you.
So the proposal is to approve the application. So if I ask each councillor whether you're for the approval, against the approval, or abstain. Councillor Bannister?
For approval.
Councillor Burrell?
For.
Councillor Elliott?
For.
Councillor Graves?
For.
Councillor James?
Against.
Councillor Mrs Page?
For.
Councillor Scott?
For.
Councillor Wellband?
For.
And Councillor Worrell?
For.
So we have 8 councillors voting for the approval, 1 councillor against. So the proposal to approve the application is carried.
Thank you very much, Sarah. So that application is approved. Thank you, everybody. You got anyone moving again? We'll just have a pause while we sort out our audience. Thank you, everyone. Okay, are we all sorted out now? Everybody, thank you very much. Our next application is at Land off Angel Drive, Market Harborough, 24/01581/OUT, erection of 38 affordable dwellings with new access and associated works. Page 126 of your papers, and the presenting officer is Mark Patterson. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Chairman. This is an application for 38 dwellings within Market Harborough. The scheme is to be 100% affordable. If we have a look at the slide, so this is the application site outlined in red. You can see Welland Park Road just to the north of the picture here, and Farndon Road running north-south down here. This area of development is the area known as Farndon Fields, a relatively recent development that's been being carried out over the last 15 years or so. Go to the next slide, the aerial photo again. You can see the application site, the public right of way, which runs through the site, the existing public right of way, the Farndon Fields development in this area here. This area is Graceland's residential park home site, and then you've got the River Welland running just here. Just go back to the previous slide quickly in relation to the River Welland. This plan indicates the flood zones as indicated by the Environment Agency. So the dark blue is the one in flood zone. The flood area which most affected.
The light blue area is the less affected area. Anywhere outside of those shaded areas is not considered to be flood zone by the Environment Agency. This slide indicates the original allocation for the Farndon Fields development, going back to the local plan from 2003. And you can see on this slide, the application site is in this area here. So effectively it formed part of the original allocation for the development. So moving on to the application itself, this is the proposed layout of the development. So effectively it's accessed via Henry Road in this location here, continuing Henry Road into the site and crossing the public right of way, with dwellings then arranged around the road through the site. The line of the public right of way is now retained along its original existing alignment, which is a change to the scheme as previously presented. In terms of the appearance, as the application is a full application, we do have appearance of the dwellings for consideration, and these cross sections show that appearance of the dwellings. The top cross section in this location here is taken effectively along this line, so that's what you'd see as you come into the site. The middle cross section is the northern side of the route through, so in this area, and then the bottom cross section is effectively the end section just here. This is a view from within the site, looking towards the existing development, Gracelands Residential Park Home. Members will have seen in the committee report that previous application that we had on the site, as officers, we had significant concerns about the relationship between the proposal and these existing properties. As part of the application, you'll have seen that the existing ground levels will have to be raised because of drainage issues and also access issues. And to indicate the relationship, the applicants have provided a cross section. So this is taken from the adjacent property on Graceland sites just here through to the new proposed property here, and indicating that change in levels. Again, as previously indicated, there's a public right of way through the site. Again, from the report, members will see that the officers had concerns about the realignment of that route. It is a well-used route, as you can see from the photos, and well surfaced as well, and provides a good route from the wider Farndon Fields development into the town centre. And as you can see from the proposal, the alignment of that route would remain as it is now. As previously mentioned, the levels of the site will have to be raised, and this cross section at the bottom effectively shows how that would affect the public right of way. So that's the dotted line through there is the existing ground level. The solid line above that is the level as a result of the increase in levels of the site. And you'll see, we can't quite see, but it does indicate at this point here and at this point here, the slope from the existing level up to the new proposed level would be a 1 in 20 slope, which is acceptable to the Highway Authority. So just have a quick look through a few more of the slides. So this is a view from what will be the access to the site at Henry Road, at the end of Henry Road, looking into the site here. And you can see in this area here is the caravans at Gracelands, and you can just make out in this location here the footpath that goes through the site. This is a view from the south of the site, looking towards the north. You can see existing properties on Rugby Close and Willow Crescent in this location here. This is a view from the public right of way, going back towards Gracelands, some industrial units on Farndon Road, And also you can just see the rooftops of properties in Summers Close, just beyond the eastern boundary of the site. There are speakers on the application, Chair, and there is also some additional information on the supplementary information list in relation to a further Section 106 contribution that's been requested. So I'll hand back to you, Chair.
Thank you, Mark. We have 4 speakers on this application. Our first speaker is Bob Belm. If you'd like to come forward, sir. You've got 3 minutes. And you'll be given a 30-second warning if you'd like to switch the microphone on and start whenever you're ready. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I'm Bob Brown. I'm Chair of the Welland Neighbour Forum. Let me just stress first that the Forum is not opposed to development, in fact, far from it. However, it must be sustainable, it must enhance the neighbourhood and safeguard residential amenity. Most importantly, it must represent good design and development in line with Local Plan Policy GD8. Our concern is that this scheme fails on all 3 counts. The site, as we've heard, has to be raised by 1.5 metres above ground level, and the implications of that are as follows. First, construction impact. Raising the levels requires 25,000 tonnes of fill material. That is 2,500 lorry movements. All of those vehicles will travel along residential roads, through the Farndon Fields estate and along Henry Road. And the resulting noise, mud, dust, damage to roads would have a devastating effect on residents' quality of life. Those impacts simply cannot be mitigated by any construction management plan. Second, it's an artificial plateau. To fit in the 38 houses, almost half the site perimeter would have retaining walls up to 1.2 metres high. It creates an engineered plateau with sharp edges, which is quite out of keeping with the surrounding residential character and open space, and it leaves a long-term maintenance liability. Third, and most importantly, the visual impact and loss of privacy. The previous application on this site was recommended for refusal and withdrawn because, in the officer's words, the layout and increased ground levels would have a significant adverse effect on neighbouring properties, contrary to policy GD8. Nothing material has changed. The ground levels are the same. No bungalows are proposed. And now an almost continuous line of 2-storey houses overlooks the single-storey park homes at Gracelands. Officers in their report have again expressed concern about this impact. In conclusion then, earlier planning decisions and adjoining development have effectively sterilised this site. This proposal neither respects its context, nor does it protect residential amenity.
Mr. Bell, 30 seconds remaining.
Its adverse impacts significantly and demonstrably outweigh the benefits. It conflicts with the Harbour Local Plan Policy GD8. It does not represent good design in development. And so we therefore urge the committee to refuse planning permission. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Has anyone got any questions for our speaker? No? Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Mike Kelly. I'd like to switch the microphone on. Got 3 minutes and you'll be given a 30-second warning when it's close to the end. Start whenever you're ready. Thank you.
Chair, members, good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to address the committee. I'm from Owl Partnerships, the applicant, and I'm speaking in support today. Of the 38 homes we're proposing, all of them are affordable. We have worked with the officers over the last 2 years to bring before you a plan for 30 homes for social rent, plus 8 shared ownership homes, so that first-time buyers can afford to put their first foot on the property ladder. Members will note that 100% affordable homes are a significant benefit. It goes well beyond the typical policy requirements, responding directly to the very real and well-evidenced need for affordable homes within the district. We urge members to consider that these homes will be built with sustainability at their heart, incorporating solar panels, air source heat pumps,
and built to EPC A rating. These measures will put future residents to be able to manage costs effectively while contributing to the council's wider sustainability objectives. The scheme will also provide a well-balanced and policy-compliant mix, including 1 beds, 2 beds, 3 beds and family-size 4 beds. This ensured the development meets the needs of the wide range of local households, from single people and couples through to families who currently are priced out of the local market. The scheme will provide a biodiversity net gain, as detailed within the ecology reports presented with the application. A Great Crested Newt district licence was a level licence was signed by Natural England in February last year. Members will be aware the development has been carefully refined through officer engagement, consultation, feedback. The revised layout improves separation distances, strengthens landscape buffers, enhances refuse collection arrangements, and improves parking provisions. The public right-of-way running through the site is not only protected but enhanced. The wider paths and grass verges. The footpath is slightly raised to facilitate the subtle increase in levels when going into the site through the road network. In terms of highways and accessibility, vehicle access is proposed via Henry Road, which was constructed and adoptable to an adoptable road specification specifically to accommodate further development like this. Highway officers at the County Council have confirmed this an appropriate and acceptable access arrangement. Members may also wish to give weight to the comprehensive Section 106 package, which totals
Mr. Kelly, 30 seconds remaining.
613,000. This includes substantial contributions towards education, public open space, etc. Importantly, officers have recommended this application for approval, recognising the scheme's strong policy compliance, design quality, sustainability credentials and significant contribution to make affordable housing in Market Harborough. Finally, I would like to draw members' attention to urgent funding context. These homes need to be delivered with Homes England funding,
Mr. Kelly, your time is
which expires next month, March 26. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Has anyone got any questions? No? Oh, Councillor James? Councillor Elliott then, first.
Can you assure us that the roads, the gentleman before you said there was going to be many lorry loads of heavy soil. Are the roads up to that? That's already...
The roads in place are with a Section 38 agreement are built to adoptable standards to take those sort of movements.
Okay. Yeah.
Councillor James?
Again, would you, I think it's page 132, 133 of the report, the Anglian Water Authority are objecting to this. I am aware that we have frequent sewage problems in the Welland at the moment, but would you give me a comment on that, please?
Only in terms of we've got a drainage strategy which shows where our surface water and foul water is going to. We will be submitting a Section 104 agreement to Anglian Water for their approval. So without that approval, we won't be able to progress the development.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Scott?
There's a reference over on page 117. I'm looking at about the benchmark land value. There was a bit of a mismatch, wasn't there, between what Aspinall Birdie said and what you decided the value of the land was. Is it a marginal development, or are we close to marginal? Or...
It's probably not for me to go into finances. It's not my situation. It had its viability challenges. I can only put it that way. Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Elliott, can you put your microphone on?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions, Councillor James?
Again, can I better understand why we're raising the level of 1.5 metres, yeah?
I think if you can see on the screen there, when you come in from the existing roads, it's approximately a metre higher. You can see that I think there's a good photo before which showed it there. The context of how the site drops, so it's naturally in a little bit of a hollow. To get that, to make it work and to tie into the existing road network, that comes up, the road gently sweeps down. By the time it intersects with the footpath, there is some raising of the footpath, normally about sort of 0.5 metre. And I think the case officer also mentioned in terms of get the drainage to work as well, there has been some levels changed. So the worst case scenario is just over 1 metre. but there are areas that are significantly less than that. And I know volumes were talked about, which I acknowledge. I don't think the volumes take into account the amount of risings that happen with there. So it's not just import. By the time you dig a road box and all the foundations, clearly that generates some of the earth there. But nevertheless, I do acknowledge there will be some movements in there, which will be done as part of a materials management plan.
So it's basically to get the falls with the drainage, is it?
It's a falls with the drainage and tying into the existing roads. Correct. Correct.
Okay, thank you. And would it be flood protection as well?
It's not in a flood zone, so no, that's not the case.
Okay, thanks very much. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, anyone else? Oh, Councillor Page.
Thank you, Chair. I've noticed there's a pond and an open space area. Could you tell me how that will be maintained in perpetuity if and when, you know, they would be permitted?
That's it. The plan is for that to be given to a residence and management company.
And who will be paying for that?
The residents.
The residents. So the residents, even so, they are affordable homes.
Correct.
They will be having a charge.
Which the registered providers we've spoken to are aware of that obligation.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think Mark has got some comments.
Yeah, just to clarify for Councillor James and his comment, just find the aerial photo. So effectively Henry Road, which is this element here. In order to get the gravitational flow for drainage from that development down to Angel Drive here, that had to be built up a certain amount, and effectively this site will feed into that and connect into that system. So it's got to be up at the level of Henry Road. So you cannot develop this site without increasing the ground levels, because of what's happened with Henry Road in the past and being able to get that connection into it.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you. Okay, is that it? Our next speaker then is Councillor David Page. Speaking as the county councillor, I believe, for the area. You've got 3 minutes and you'll be given a 30-second warning. Stop when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair and members. This decision turns on a simple question. Is this application lawful, deliverable and policy compliant today? Or are you being asked to approve first and sort the fundamentals out later? In my view, it is the latter, and that is not a sound basis for granting permission. First, highways and deliverability. The local highway authority makes clear the site does not connect to adopted highway in the usual way. The internal roads are not adoptable and will remain private. That matters because it goes to control, enforceability, and long-term maintenance. You are being asked to sign off impacts without the normal certainty of adoption and public control. Second, the public right-of-way. The Local Highways Authority again is explicit that a public right-of-way must not be rerouted, enclosed, encroached upon or obstructed without authorization, and any diversion is a separate legal process. Conditions cannot magic that away. If the scheme relies on works affecting the legal line of the public right-of-way, members should not approve on a condition and hope basis. Third, local impact and cumulative pressure. I am presently inundated with unresolved parking and access complaints in this location. The addition of 38 dwellings will bring materially more vehicles and movements in Henry Road. In practical terms, more on-street parking, more obstruction at pinch points, and worse access for residents, deliveries and emergency vehicles. I do not accept the county's view that the cumulative impact is acceptable in the real world in which residents live. And for these reasons, I ask members to refuse. And if members are not minded to refuse, then defer until the public right-of-way position is legally deliverable and highways impacts and mitigations are evidenced and secured up front. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Page. Anyone got any comments or questions? No, thank you very much. Mark will comment on a couple of things about that.
Yeah, just a couple of points really. In relation to the adoption of the highways, again, if we go back to the aerial photo, get the mouse to work. So the closest element of the adopted public highway as things stand at the moment, I can't control. Sarah, could you put that? Thank you. The closest element of the adopted public highway as things stand at the moment is Farndon Road in this area here. The roads through the Farndon Fields development have been constructed and built to adoptable standards, and it is the developer's intention, the developer of that wider site, for these roads to be adopted. It's not a case of they will never be adopted. But you have to go through the process of adoption, and it is a long process. And developers on large sites such as this don't tend to go through the adoption process until such time that development is complete. And that's why no approach has yet been made to the County Council, the Highways Authority, for adoption at the moment. But all the roads have been built to adoptable standards. In terms of the public right of way through the site, you can see the routes running through here. That's the existing route of the public right of way, the formal definitive line of the right of way. You can see that dotted red line again is the definitive line of the right of way, and you can see that the proposed route plan now indicates that the public right of way would be retained on its existing route. I accept that during construction there will be a need for a temporary diversion of that public right of way, but that is not in its own right a reason for refusal of a planning application, because it is purely temporary, and there are procedures in place through the Highways Authority for such temporary diversions. In terms of its actual definitive route, that would not change. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mark. Our next speaker is Councillor Darren Woodward, speaking as the ward member. So you've got 5 minutes. And you'll be
I'll try not to fill 5 minutes.
30 seconds.
Thank you.
Carry on at your leisure.
Thank you. Okay. I fully endorse the arguments put forward by the Welland Forum and also Councillor Page as well on the refusal for this application. However, should the committee be minded to disregard those community concerns and allow permission, the following conditions must be imposed to ensure the proposed accords with the local plan and safeguards residential amenity. First, the southern boundary adjoining Gracelands. Harbour District Council has published a design code and guidance for Welland Ward, intended to inform planning decisions and ultimately form part of Welland Neighbourhood Plan.